convenience or entertainment, but to create real, meaningful impact in our communities. Whether it's through digital platforms that boost volunteerism, tools that improve digital access and literacy, or creative solutions that tackle local challenges, this session is about using tech with heart. To help us unpack all of this, we got an incredible lineup. So please welcome our moderator, Ms. Tengku Ain Tunku Abdullah from Malaysia. Tengku Ain is a seasoned communication strategist with a decade-long career in public relations and media engagement, currently serving as AVP of Media Relations at Bank Simpanan Nasional. She has previously held high-impact roles, including Private Secretary to the Minister of Federal Territories and PR Manager at MyCore, where she coordinated humanitarian efforts in East Africa. Her expertise spans government relations, corporate communication, and crisis management. So let's get into it. Ms. Tengku Anis, the stage is yours.
Should I start without my panel? Right? Sorry. Right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. I'm Tengku Ain. And this is the session 4. Please don't sleep. This is the last session. Yeah. I'm honored to be moderating. I won't say moderating. I will say chatting. I prefer chatting with my panels here. First of all, from Vietnam, Elsa. I will just be calling them by nicknames so easy for us to, pronounce the name. And Dr. Hazman. And says, please welcome. But before I start introducing them, that check, yeah? How many of you here, as soon as you wake up, you check the phone? Please raise your hand. Wow, okay. And how many of you here talk to ChatGPT every day? Or maybe on regular basis? Wow, okay. People say I'm crazy, but yeah, now I feel better because I'm not the only one. Okay, right, that's what I thought. You are in the right room now because we're going to talk about how can we harness digital tools to truly empower communities. Today, they are not your typical panel, no speeches, of course, just a real talk, real conversation. We're going to talk about tech for good. What is tech for good? Well, now here in ASEAN, we are not just, build technology for community. We build for community and by community. And across ASEAN also, people are no longer users. Now, we are all builders, storytellers, and also disruptors. So here we have very amazing panels. Beside me, in Europe, you call Greta, yeah? You know Greta? Here in ASEAN, I don't know. I feel this is ASEAN's Greta. Elsa. Please give a round of applause. She's just 17 years old. The youngest panel. Right, she's from Vietnam Public Forum Academy. Actually, she's a senior, rising senior from Saigon South International School. She's a trailblazer in youth-led digital debate, a champion for inclusive journalism. She founded for Inspire Youth Journal, international publication for 40 countries. Wow, Elsa, how many writers from 40 countries, if you may share?
Currently, we have over 150 writers.
Wow. What are countries among these countries?
Yeah, we have a lot of ASEAN countries as well, like Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, right. Thailand, and many more as well.
Right. Round of applause for 17 years old. Just imagine, she's just 17. Just imagine another 2-3 years. What else she can do? MashaAllah. Right, the next one. Dr. Wan Hazman Wan Daud from Yayasan Sukarelawan Siswa. Wow, I can see he has fans here. Currently, he serves as Executive Director at Yayasan Siswa, Sukarelawan Siswa, a driving force behind a student-led volunteer mission across the country. How many missions, Doctor, so far?
Hi, we had currently our 80 missions in Vietnam. Currently, we have 53 young volunteers from across all the universities in Malaysia.
Wow.
In stations in Ho Chi Minh City.
Impressive, yeah. Dr. Hazwan is proving that when youth are given digital tools, they don't just connect, they mobilize, they empower, they transform lives. Yeah, the next one from Philippines, says. Round of applause to says. Representing Philippines and Plan International Australia, says works where technology meets inclusion. She's the one that led impactful apps called UNICEF's Oki Philippines, yeah, and Hope Town Hero, yeah. What is it about actually?
All right, so quick introduction about these two apps. So you mentioned about Oki Philippines. So this is like it's a global kind of effort of theirs where they create a period tracking app that's contextualized to the country that it's based in. So it actually started in Indonesia and I believe in Mongolia, where they did a lot of consultations with the communities there, with the young people especially. And in order to be introduced or made into a new country, they work with an organization like Plan International, for example, right. And we're the ones who consult the young girls all across the Philippines. And there's two major aspects to it. Like one is kind of the user experience. So what will the app look like? What will the avatars look like, etc., so that young Filipino users can relate to it. And then the other aspect is the content. So, right. For example, our Honorable Minister earlier mentioned about what we are facing, not just in Malaysia. Apparently, it's common also in the rest of ASEAN, like the issue of like early child marriage, teenage pregnancy, young people not really being aware of sexual reproductive health issues. So that's where Oki stands in as sort of like this resource, not just for period tracking, etc., but also understanding your bodies without...
Are they still functioning today?
Yeah, so it's still functioning, and also different countries have it. So if you check out like Oki, OKY, if they made it in your country, you should be able to access it.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's welcome our panels today. Right, now we will start with round one, the question to Elsa. You have opened digital spaces for youth to debate, to create, and be heard. Because now youth, they feel like they are not heard. They are always spoken to. Oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. But in these spaces, they are heard. So let's begin at the heart. What sparked this work for you? And why are youth voices are very essential to you?
Yeah, and so I think like my whole mission is about like empowering youth voices, especially through debate and writing. And what kind of started this is because as someone who's very passionate about both debate and writing, now I look at other youth around me and I feel like oftentimes youth voices are like disregarded. And I remember like someone in the audience mentioned this before, and how like, people think youth are immature and how like maybe they're not educated enough to talk about like these issues. But I think that especially in today's context, that's not true. And so I want to like create a platform, not just for me, but also like for other youth similar like my age, or like to like be able to like voice their opinions. And also I'm like the youngest daughter in a very conservative like Vietnamese household. And so I think like as a girl, oftentimes I think my voice is even overlooked in like my own home. And if I look around me, I see that there are other girls around the world whose voices are also oppressed. For example, like Afghan girls who don't even get to like go to school due to like the Taliban. And so I think like there are people who have like worse situation than me. And so this kind of empowers me to like create a platform that allows like more youth to like.
Right, that's inspiring. Because when back in high school, to me, I don't know about anyone. What I think about it was just about finishing school. I just want something better for me. I want something good for me. Now she's thinking about people, right? Okay, Dr. Hazman, you've led youth volunteer across Malaysia and now with digital age, right? Can you share the moment when you first realized about technology could mobilize students and create real-world impact?
Okay, thank you, Ain, for the questions. I think, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all of you. Nice to see everyone here. I think when we're talking about gender equality, previously that we always want to give women more space, and I think I'm being very proud to be here, just a single man letting behind all these women. So I think, yeah, we are really, really putting the spirit of women empowerment.
Yes.
We are just not talking about it, but we just proof by the actions. So our actions always speaks louder than the words. So thank you to the organizer. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of moment when we realize how technologies can give a better and making an impact to the community. I still remember when we mobilized a group of volunteers on the ground in Sarawak back in 2013. We see that there's a lot of women there. They always, because we go to the longhouse. So in the longhouse, they have like the space in front of their house where they're going to spend time together. And most of them, in the morning, they go to the farm. And in the afternoon, they didn't know what to do. So what they do is in Sarawak, if you go, they have the very nice bits of Sarawak, manik, they call it manik. So they're going to do a lot of traditional things in Sarawak. But what happened is that when we go to the longhouse, when we mobilize a lot of volunteers there, and we find out that they have like thousands of collections they didn't know how to sell, because at the end of the day, every longhouse do the same thing. And they just make it as a hobby. So we're thinking that how can they be sustained? And you can just do it, you can buy it, and the beads is very expensive. So then what the volunteers teach the people there, using the technology, how to use all this social media, how to use the marketplace, how to put the brand and everything. So now at the end of the day, just by having a hobby, they turn it into a productions, and now they can earn income to sustain the community and also themselves. So this is something that we believe. So that is a turning point where we think that technologies, even you are in the very rural part of Sarawak, but if you have something, the technology can link you to the world, and at the end of the day, you're not just selling your products inside the country, but you can just also send it to overseas. So, and I think the major things happens for me personally, I think for all of us here, when COVID hits, it's like give us a very big and significant impact. You are free to go everywhere before, now you're going to stranded at house, cannot do anything. And that also happens in Malaysia. You know that we have a SPM candidate, it's like a A-level, I think, for the students who want to take it. So we find out that 3 to 4 months, the first 3 to 4 months when COVID hits, that the students have the issues that we call it a lost generations, that they don't have tablet to access to the internet, they cannot go to the school, and the schools are using all this tablet to teach. And we find out that that is a very major thing. And during that time, we found out that many NGOs in Malaysia taking initiative to go and find the tablet to teach and give to the students. And we also do the same things with the connections that we have with our corporate partners. We talk with ASEAN during that time, and we give 4,000 tablets to underprivileged kids. But we always thinking on the ecosystem. By giving tablets does not solve the problem. And also we talk to our partners, also TM, then they provide free 15 gigs of internet for a year for the children. By having the tablets, having the connections, is it you're solving no problem? No, they have 4 months that they left the school, they didn't have the access to the everything. So what we do is that we spoke to other partners, and we give them a free tuitions every day, and we have our alumni coming from all over Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak, and they be a tutor. They support the volunteer, they support the kids from everywhere, even in police, by using this technology. And during that time also, we find out that the students in the university especially also facing a very, very hard time. Numbers of them stranded, cannot go to meet the family and everything. And even we've been coordinating with the Ministry of Higher Education during that time. We have a call center. By having here, but we can solve a lot of problems, even in Sabah, Sarawak, the student in Perlis, in Kelantan, just being coordinating inside the call center because of the technology. So we make full use of technology, and we can change a lot of things. So I think the things happens, and I believe that um, we can use the technology if we know how to use the technology and making full use of it. Definitely, we can make a lot of impact. So this is what we do, and that's moment, especially I think for the COVID, everyone started to believe on virtual meeting, virtual activities. Previously, you must attend physically for a lot of things. Now, by having one virtual call, you can discuss with your partners everywhere in the world. So I think that is the turning point for everything, and that's how, for us personally, that is also the experience that we have. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good because you really empower people. During COVID, of course, people cannot go out. And yeah, you know, I also, I was empowered also by people because during that time, we couldn't go anywhere. We had to, and this kind of NGO also help us to, you know, give us something to do, or you have to do this when you're at home. And yeah, that's very inspiring and it's very motivating. To says, yeah, you work at the intersection of tech, gender, and inclusion. What first drew you to this work, and what keeps your fire going?
All right. This is a bit of a long story, but I think like it would be also good to kind of ask the audience about their own personal journeys, because that's, you know, like my journey, I think, was a mix of me knowing kind of what I want, but also a mix of like luck, being open to opportunities, and just really looking at like being open to people helping me out. So I want to ask here, who here are around, well, still in high school? Anyone still in high school? Apart from my fellow like speakers here, we have a couple. Anyone in university? Majority are in university. How about those who are already working? All right, so let's start with those who are already working. With the jobs you have now, like I just need you to raise your hand. Is the job that you have directly related to the major that you took in uni? Like, yes? Okay, so there's a few hands, but like there were definitely more hands. I want to see the hands of those who like who have jobs now that weren't quite related to what they took in uni, like not directly related. Yeah, so there's also a number. And I think that's what happened to me. So when so right now I'm working in tech. But when I was in university, I took development studies, which is like in the social studies, right? When I started working with Plan International, I started as an intern, and I also started with organizing youth events like this. And then I started working with the digital team inside Plan International. So I became a project manager there, and then got introduced to technology. And that's where I learned that, yeah, there's many problems and also many solutions within tech, because of course it's a tool, right? So I think like one of the things that like keeps the fire going, or like keeps me on like this kind of journey within tech as someone from like social sciences, it's really curiosity. And it's also like, you know, when you connect with communities, when you, let's say, build a digital solution or use a digital solution, you can often be like cooped up in your office, of course, like, you know, building the tool. And especially in a humanitarian development organization, like you kind of have to wear many hats. So anyone here who wants to work in an NGO, in a civil society organization? All right, we have a lot of hands, right? And that like speaks to the spirit of most of the people in the room who are like very voluntaristic. So I guess just as a heads up, the sector is having like challenges right now in terms of funding, like it's really dwindling, right? And just the reality is always that you have to wear many hats. So working in tech, but also in the NGO space, I often had to be not only project manager, but also product owner, also quality assurance, also write the content, also like train people on the tool that you built, and also write the proposals to get these tools funded. So, and that's fun for me, I guess, like learning, you know. But that's also kind of like a double-edged sword of like being a young person, like people just say, oh, you can do it, you're young, you can learn all of it, you know. So you can take that in two ways. But also looking at like what technologies, because there's always going to be new technologies, especially AI, which is what I'm working on right now. There are ever deeper discussions about the gender digital divide, with like underserved, marginalized communities, and especially women being left behind while everyone else is reaping like the benefits of these new technologies. So there's always work to do. And also it doesn't hurt that, you know, being kind of in this space, like in digital, like it doesn't pay that bad. I mean, you need that. Like you need different aspects, and that's something that you can kind of take with you. Like it's not a bad thing to want to sustain yourself in order to work in the sustainability field. Yeah.
Right. Now let's move on to Elsa. Well, now, how have you helped empower young people to participate in public discourse so they don't really feel left out?
Yeah, so I think the most obvious one is like through Inspire Youth Journal. I provide like this journalism platform for youth all around the world to write on different global issues and to talk about like the problems that they care about and express their opinions. And so through this one, like we allow youth to share their voices. And additionally, I also empower youth voices through public forum debate, which is this format of debate that's often used in the US, but I'm not sure if it's like common here in Malaysia. And so through debate, I help like youth gain confidence and also help them like research more into these issues, because you know when you debate, you need to like have some knowledge about these issues. And also, and like I have this online class for Afghan girls and also an online debate club where we teach them like weekly, and also help like expand educational opportunities since like they don't get to go to school.
How do you make sure they really talk intellectually, not, you know, sometimes they are there, they gather, and then they fight, or they talk nonsense or something. How do you make sure that?
Yeah, so like for every session, we will always have like an instructor who have like a lesson planned, and we will always like kind of go through like the basic information first, and then also like encourage them to research more into the problem. And so we kind of give them a guide so they don't, you know, like spread misinformation like you mentioned.
Like in Malaysia, you put them in one place, bawang, then we don't know what to do after that, you know. So we need to really put like a barrier or something, you know, like, now I'm the moderator, not the panel. Okay, then Dr. Hazwan, we know that scaling digital is very hard. It's very hard. So how do you have, maybe you can share with us your major challenge faced nationally or regionally, and you know, how do you adapt it?
Thank you, Ain, for the question. I think taking into the perspective, I think I like how Cecilia answered the question by throwing back the question to the audience. I'm going to do the same way. So, may I know in this room how many of you are doing how many of you here are doing your own initiative of volunteerism, any volunteering activities in any segment? Can you raise your hand? Yeah. Okay. And can I see if there's in this room that you are focused specifically on the technology, that is your focus on your volunteering works? Yeah, there's the hands. And I think the challenge that we face in the technologies, or I think in the full spectrums of volunteerism, is going to be the same. And I think if I say this, I think Cecilia had mentioned before me, that the biggest challenge that I think most of us here are facing is about the resources. We have the limited of money. Sometimes you have a good project, you have a very good ideas and initiative, by the end of the day, it stuck there. And like you say that we need to do a lot of grants, we need to go more proposals, go and convince people. And that is the thing, that's also process for everyone. For me personally, I think that for when you talk about technology, rather than infrastructure challenge, and also the connectivity is also another challenge that we face, because in a very remote area, especially in Sabah, Sarawak, and also in ASEAN regions, I think the connectivity had given significant impact to the activity and the initiative that you do. So I think the key behind all of this is to have a strong partnerships. It's not easy in the beginning. You should have, in order for you to convince people, you have a good brand. And in order for you to develop a brand, it takes time and trust. So that also happens to us. We have recently, alhamdulillah, we have a lot of initiatives and support that we receive from our partners, but it starts with the same way. We go and convince them, we show the reports that we have do and how much impact and significant development that these people, this community have received. So I think I can line up numbers of initiatives that we have do before and currently are doing, like examples. For me, as a young people, you need to always hunger for opportunity. You cannot wait for the opportunity to come and knock your door. It very rarely happens. It may happen, but I think it's very, 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 very rarely to happen. So you need to take actions. You need to do a lot of research. You need to go and convince a lot of people. You need to always face the failure before you can earn the perks of success behind the thing. So it's not easy. You may go to 10 people and 10 people rejects you. So after that, you learn. Every time, the key behind is that what you learn every time people are rejecting you. So from that, you can improve and you can have a very solid plan. And I think the storytelling is the key behind this. You show, and I think most of the people always believe on the impact. Storytelling is how one people be changed, and doing that storytelling can always impress others. So I think we also I want to share that we have, by doing that, we have partners with a lot of private and the government sector to do a lot of initiative, especially in this technology, digital and technology part. So I think one of it recently, the government has launched in Malaysia. We call it Safe Internet Campaign, or Campaign Internet Selamat, by the government of Malaysia under the MCMC, SKMM, so that we work with them currently, approaching a lot of university students to give them trainings to be the TOT. Then they're going to go to the local community, especially to the schools, and teach about the safe internet. And also, we also work with SKMM in bringing the anti-scam module that they have to ensure that the rural part of the area that we go, they don't believe in the internet, they don't believe in everything, and they get been scammed. So this is the initiative that we do. And now we also work with SKMM and also the partners of Tiny Techies, where we bring robotics experience and coding to enhance the speed of STEM in the school to the rural area. So now kids as 8 years old, 10 years old, they started to have the experience having this small gadget. By learning to do the coding, at the end of the day, the things moving, the things give reactions to the things, and we keep inspired these young people that have been rarely had the opportunity, the privilege like others, to have this experience, and let them know that if you have this opportunity and this is what are coming in the future, then this is the way that we do. And I can say that we have a lot of initiatives that we do with our partners. And recently we are doing this pilots initiative with Salcom DG. You know that in Sarawak we have around 100, if I'm not mistaken, I think 50 clinics and hospital, actually clinics in rural places that they only have a medical assistant and nurse, they don't have doctors there. So now we are working with them under specials project that we do with Salcom DG now. We are identifying 10 locations that we want to put a mobile doctor, teleconferencing, so that if you have any emergency, you can go there and the MA can call. Teleconferencing, and they're going to have the teaching hospitals to answer to the questions and to support you to ensure that they can solve the problems immediately, or to make sure that the patient's being stable before being transferred. So this is initiative now we are working. But to ensure that they can call, you must have a better infrastructure. So that is also another things that we also work with them to ensure that the connectivity is there, then we can do this type of thing. So I think, after all, I think to do something, to scale up something, is not easy, because at the end of the day, it takes a lot of resource. So, but if there's a will, there's always a way. So I do believe that as young people here, you are very energetic. You are really have the patience in what you are doing. So don't wait for the opportunity. Go and find the opportunity. So go and knock people's doors, buy politely, to convince them. So at the end of the day, I think people will believe in what you do. So, and other things that I find out that many young people always didn't do in the projects that they do is that they don't have a good reporting. So when people give you money or when you do something, reporting is the key for you to save and secure another funding for the future. So I think this is a certain things that we had based on our experience, and I think that it's going to be a valuable things that I can share with all of you. I think in the first sessions that we had this morning also, the panel said that it's normal for you to give up, but don't give up. So go and always find the opportunity, go a lot of research, go and find specific entities, specific agencies, specific NGO or your specific private sector that give a focus to the works that you want to do. So there's always a way. So I think start small, gain the trust before you can replicate the things to go bigger. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, now let's move on to the next one. You've been behind tools like Oki Philippines, Hope Town Hero we talked about just now, right? What's your biggest lesson from designing this? You designed this with communities, not just for communities. So, especially this one, when it comes to gender equity at the center, how you do this?
Yeah, I think I'll keep this one brief just so the message is crisp. So, if you design a solution for a certain group without them, it isn't likely to work. So it takes a lot of intentionality. Like it takes sitting out of your comfort zone. Like sometimes when you get caught up in work, right? Like, oh, you need to build like this app to deliver on the project objectives, because it can be like that, when you get a grant, right? And you do this and like and then you have the reporting period, etc. You really have to seek out your actual audiences and ask them intentionally and sit with them. Okay, what do you need? And make sure that reflects in what you build. And that takes so much time, so much resources. So you really have to work together with your entire team and with your audiences, in our case, girls, young women, to make sure that what you create, like it's really with them, like it's meaningful and it's useful for them.
How did you actually ask them? Like, how did you ask them? Like, you need this? How you founded that, yeah?
Yeah, so, well, of course, we have our, the typical research methods you have, right? Like you select your communities, like which ones, okay, we need to make sure, like, there's a diverse group. The Philippines is well represented in this app because, of course, we want to contextualize, make a truly Filipino period tracking and reproductive health information app. So we create a sample. So there, like, you do your research properly, then you go to the communities. And then once you have these young girls, like you ask them in an FGD, but you also interview them, right? Like you make sure that they're in a space where they can actively really share, give their contributions, and speak. And of course, like that's a properly designed format. So yeah, you still need these kind of formal things, of course. And what Hasman mentioned, like you have to do the proper reporting, and these kinds of things. Like you can't skip them. They're really just a core part of the process of designing properly, so you give justice to the audience that you ask. So yeah, you go there, you ask the questions, then you list them down, you validate. Again, like once you have something, show it to them. Okay, is this close to kind of what we talked about earlier on? And if not, make changes to that.
Yeah, to make sure that the app is really needed by people.
Because, I think I need to add something. I think Cecilia has raised a very important points there that I think most of the young people that I met, when they go and approach community to offer something, there's always begin from themselves. I think that is the major wrong things that you are doing from the beginning. In a volunteerism, it's always start from the needs from the community that you want to serve. Even you have a glass of full of water, but if you go to the community, they didn't need that, you cannot offer that. So it's always begin in your ideations part, you always begin by asking them what they need. That is the key. Second thing is that bring them together in the discussions and during the implementations of the project. Saying most of the young people, they always go and approach community by saying that I have this, you want, let's do, you don't want, then I go and find another community. that's not the way of doing a true and impactful design thinking of the volunteerism. So I think that is a plus point that I really want to emphasize. There's also a very, very expensive experience that we learn throughout time. So it's always begin from the needs of the community and always involve them in the decision-making process. Yeah, thank you.
Right. I managed to speak to Seth yesterday about apps. There are many apps. Sometimes I just download it and then I use it for some time. And then after some time, I feel like I don't need it anymore because it's not really needed. Because it's not updated and it's just like, I don't know. Why is that so? Like, I feel like the info is not really updated after some time. And the founder maybe just, decide not to use it again. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So something I guess that most of the people here who work in tech fully understand is that tech is extremely expensive. And there is a reason why the tech giants, Google, Microsoft, etc., like they're able to do these fast, and they made us expect to like these really fast changes and improvements, right? It's because they have close to unlimited resources and they make money out of the tech that they do. So even with the best intentions, like even if you build like the perfect app, if you don't have a way to sustain it, if you don't have a clear way of sustaining it, it's going to go away. It's going to disappear because you have hosting and maintenance costs. The cost to update, you need a developer again or something like that. There are changes right now that are making app development cheaper, like for example in AI. Like hosting costs are getting cheaper, etc. But still, there's still that cost element, and not just cost in terms of money, but in terms of time for the person building. And also, I think I want to talk about the kind of this idea of the graveyard of digital innovations. Because there was this time not too long ago that all of the funders are looking for innovation. Like that became a buzzword, right? And so everyone was rushing, okay, let's make an app idea, like leading with a solution, not with the community's needs. I think that was an issue in order to get the funding. So it's a really vicious process. And it's very difficult to not lose yourself along the way. Like, of course you need to get the funding first. So of course you need to come up with a good idea, right? And of course you have to build that because that's what you told the donor you would do, right? So it's very difficult with this kind of, like that's just how the system works. And so I think that's also a challenge to governments, to funders. Like how can you change the way you make calls for proposals in a way that doesn't like box your like the organizations and stop, like for example, young people from contributing their own ideas and like basing it off of their capability and willingness to be able to build a tool based on needs. But like figuring out the needs takes money to begin with, right? So yeah, it's really tough. And sometimes you end up with the best solution not even being like high tech or new, right? Like for example, you want to do science education, you want to do climate change education, and you build this really cool app, and like later down the line, nobody ends up using it, and then there's just this influencer that like does reels and vlogs on social media, and I follow them. Like in the Philippines, for example, we have Localpedia who documents foods all over the Philippines, a completely voluntary, self-funded and funded by like private donors kind of thing. And it's fantastic. Like you get to see the richness of Philippine food that we don't even know because we just know adobo, sinigang, tinola, like that kind of stuff, which is fantastic.
That's really nice to hear. I remember Pangako Sayo now from
So check that out. Check out the food and check out Localpedia. Even one of my idols too, like Celine Murillo, who's been taking photos and videos of native trees, the wildlife biodiversity in the Philippines. And they do a lot of these things. Like, I mean, she went on like this van trip with her husband for like a year or something, like all over the Philippines. And this was just her thing. Like, I bet like she was just like, oh, I'm a person with free will. I want to do this. And did it. Like, she made a job, and now she's like a very, very well-known influencer who gets invited to like universities to speak about these things and, biodiversity, wildlife, etc. because of an existing technological platform. She did not have to invent something. She just went with something. And also like Sherwin from behind Localpedia, they just did something out of something that was already there, made something out of it. Yeah.
So sustainable, yeah. Right, talking about digital spaces, they are not always inclusive, safe, accurate. It's not always that. So what risks from your spaces, risks or harms do you feel or witness from having this? And also like misinformation or exclusion of people from your spaces. And how do you keep youth actually participate in it without, putting them, stopping them from doing so?
Yeah, and since we're on the topic of tech for good, I think I would want to touch upon the topic of AI since it's such a contentious topic nowadays. And personally, I noticed that while running my journal, a lot of the submissions we receive are detected with AI since we run all articles through AI detectors and plagiarism detectors. And I noticed that a lot of the people, writers, they use AI to write maybe their whole article or just parts of their article. And some even go creative as generating a whole article in their native language and then translating it. And think that since the whole purpose of my platform is to inspire youth voices, but if we were to use AI to write these articles, then we wouldn't be showcasing the authentic youth voices that we aim to do. And so it kind of takes away the whole purpose. And so I think that while AI is a good tool for maybe summarizing or perhaps just generating ideas, but definitely not to write your article for you.
Right, talking about AI of course everywhere. You ask ChatGPT everything. What should I eat today? Even whatever they said about me just now, I don't know, I did not tell them. I don't know, maybe it's from ChatGPT. How, for SES, yeah? How do we ensure that these tools, they don't carry bias? They don't really, leave out those who they claim they serve?
All right. So I think I'll talk about the last point you said, the they don't alienate or they don't harm the people they aim to serve. I think I want to kind of just rip off the Band-Aid and kind of say the ones that build AI, they're major corporations, right? They don't their main goal is to make money, right? And so typically what would drive innovation would be the things that would make money. So if you approach it in kind of that mindset and roll with it, you'd have a bit more, to borrow what Hara from session 2 earlier said, a bit of stoicism and just accepting, that, okay, this is the way of things. You can navigate that better. So on a personal level, of course, bias is a huge issue in AI, mainly because if for those of you who aren't quite sure about how AI still works, it's trained on data, right? That's the fuel for how it is able to generate whatever you ask of it. And because it is fed data, because all of this data is historical information, right? That's past information, and that carries with all of the existing biases from the past, right? So for example, when you talk about education and also even health, for example, there's only around 7% of global funding that's dedicated to looking for health and medical conditions that affect particularly women. And if you look at that 7%, that's also mostly just Caucasian women in the Western Hemisphere. What about women with darker skin? What about women in our areas, right? What about our health conditions? So if that's all that's inside AI, then it definitely won't be able to give you what you need. There's going to be bias for what the data is in there. So I think for us, here, as young people, as volunteers, one way that you can deal with it is to educate yourself, really. There's no way to go around it, but to be as educated as possible as to the facts. And so that you are able to call out AI. For example, if you prompt, let's say, okay, a person with disability who is also an indigenous person. Try that prompt on ChatGPT or Gemini or something and see what it generates. So you already see bias there because it doesn't know what a person with disability who's also an indigenous person looks like. So you can call that out. like you can actually give feedback like on an individual level. But on like the wider level, I think it's up to us, young people. You know, as Man mentioned about storytelling. Elsa is also mentioning about like these submissions. You know, like putting things out there for young people to read. We just have to accept that anything we kind of publish now on will be used by AI, scraped by AI. So if that's what happens, then put stories out there that reflect your culture. Like just make that available, do research, put that research out there. So these are the basis of AI to eventually root out that bias, because you have that opportunity of, you know, AI being a very good kind of research assistant if you use it well enough. So research is going to go like through the roof, but you have to make sure that like it's out there, it's relevant, and it's for what like topics that aren't yet like very explored.
Right. This is the last question for three of you. We talk about technology, but when it comes to rural areas, the areas that is still limited to connectivity, whatever, you know, low connectivity, rural settings and all this, what alternative or creative tools, you know, let's say one day there is no technology, what creative tools have you explored to include youth meaningfully? Maybe we can start with Elsa.
Yeah, and so I think I can talk about this from my experience working with the Afghan girls, since they live in a region and a lot of them don't have like stable internet connection. So oftentimes it's very difficult to like host those online classes for them. And so I think what we should do is just listen to the community and see like what alternative they're using. For example, like initially, I run all of my classes through Zoom. However, I later learned that like a lot of the girls, they can't access the class because apparently Zoom like requires a lot of like internet connection and a very energy consuming. And so they suggested switching to Google Meet, and that was like a much better alternative for them and a lot more like participate in our classes. And additionally, I think what we like a creative solution, I guess, that I came up with for youth who don't have very stable internet connection is that I create these self-study online classes. And so instead of like participating in every single online meeting, they can just, you know, self-study the materials themselves through like our video lectures and also like our materials uploaded. And so that's much less like energy consuming. And I guess like the most obvious one is just like helping expand digital access. For example, what we've been doing is we've been donating like old computers to some ethnic minority communities, also like disadvantaged communities around Vietnam. So, yeah.
What about Doctor?
I think it seems like what Elsa mentioned, that I think the previous experience saying that we cannot do a lot of things there. So I think by having better preparations before you go, so I think the things that we always do is that we always do the recce before we go and do anything there. So by doing that, we know the challenges that they have, the limitations that they have, and we can prepare well before we go there. So like example that, like we say that we want to do a tuitions that they cannot access. So what happens is that we provide the module, you record all the videos and give the thumb drive to the village leader, and then they ensure that every kids come to the class, just play the video and everyone can learn. So that is among the things that we do. And I think beyond than that, we also always talk to most of the locations that we went, especially in Sabah and Sarawak, and the most place that don't have the connections. Personally, we always write, for me personally, I always write a letter to the telco to let them know that this area have this challenge and everything, that even I already know the answer that they're going to give, but at the end of the day, that's an effort that you do. And I think recently, I had also had the opportunity to work with certain group of people and started to raise fund. And recently we know that Starlink is quite cheap, but you need to pay a monthly fees, commitment fees to that. So and now I had friends of mine that working with this initiative to the rural places in Sabah Sarawak. So they always raise some money to buy and to place Starlink for the rural community and then pay it monthly. So I think there's a lot of things that we can do. Limitations always happen everywhere. It should not stop you to do something good. So like I mentioned earlier, if there's a will, there's always a way. So young people, I think this time AI should help you. You can go and ask the creative way how we can do this, and yeah, they can answer you nicely. And I think as a students, you're not going to use one. They are very experts on doing this. And I'm being honest with you. I learned to use ChatGPT nicely also by all the volunteers. Me, you know, they say that this is the tricks. You cannot. You ask them to do it professionally. Blah 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 blah. To remove the dash, to remove bold, everything. The volunteers always teach me. So they are the experts, and I know usually in order for them to write something, it's not come from one resource. They go to Gemini, they go to ChatGPT, and after that, then they conclude by themselves. So they are doing it genuinely. But at the end of the day, that's being produced by AI. But this time, in order for you to solve a problem, sometimes you don't have the access, you don't have the things, the idea and everything. Go and ask AI. Sometimes they give you a good options. So yeah, thank you.
What about Ses?
I think just to add to what Elsa and Asman both mentioned, when we built our apps, we made sure that they were offline capable. Because we take internet for granted in the cities where we build these tools, but in the areas that need them the most, they don't have internet. So we have the APK, like, yeah, you put them in a flash drive or you already have it in your phone, and then you just share it with them, like through connect your device or like through Bluetooth and stuff, and then they would have the app. And it's fully offline capable, so they can still use it. But of course, infrastructure is definitely an issue, right? Like there's only a certain point where, having offline capable apps can help. Like that's still, of course, helpful. But they still need to be connected to the wider world and access opportunities. Like, for example, being able to download financial apps like digital wallets, for example, being able to sell online, being able to promote their own goods online, etc. So that's still needed. And we don't, like as an NGO, for example, you don't necessarily have all of the funding to do that, right? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to build a tower there, and then like, how many millions is that going to cost? So what you have to be creative when it comes to these things. And how we would do it is we would work with the local government, like ask them, do you have like a facility where we can we can buy Wi-Fi? I mean, we can share with that expense like for this project, and you can maintain it after. And like just provide a space where young people can go there. They can download their schoolwork, especially over the pandemic. You can download your schoolwork there. You can do it at home. And then when you have to transmit it again, you can go to this like shared space in your community. So yeah, really like just creative solutions that like working with what you have, really, yeah.
Thank you, panelists, for the powerful reflections. Now let's open the floor to all of you. Maybe we start from the behind. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, we don't all have the answers, but we will try to.
Okay, a very good evening to you all. My name is Nawashin Suraj from Polytechnic Muka. So this is not actually a question, actually a suggestion, and I need to know the opinion from the experts out there. So we all are talking about AI, right? And we all have been talking about just GPT, Gemini, and all the European and US stuff. Why not we should have a specific AI for ASEAN that have the knowledge how ASEAN people are thinking and have enough data sets? Because I myself have created a few AI models. We can't say like, oh, we need a high-speed internet to do it. We can do it in local device also, though, and we can transfer it when we are going to rural areas. Why not the government or the organizations to take a step further? This is Malaysia's turn. Malaysia become a chair of ASEAN. Why not we are the route to create an AI specifically designed for ASEAN people? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Well, that's really good question.
I can take that one. Somebody give that guy money. No, like for real. I think in connection to what you're saying, like I really like that point. Why don't we build our own? So of course, like it takes a lot of money, right? And I think this is where a cooperation like ASEAN is very needed, because the world will transform because of AI, right? And you're right in saying, like of course. These things like Gemini, Google, etc., ChatGPT, and the other models, like they're trained on like Western models, understandably, and we can create our own. and we can reap also from the benefits of that. There's so much potential for such a technology to generate so much income that can be distributed in a world where you have all of these forecasted job losses because AI will take the jobs and stuff like that. Like there needs to be kind of like a way to rethink about how we're operating economically. I mean, I just want to ask the room again, who here is worried about AI taking their jobs or impacting their jobs? Yeah, we have a few. We have a number of you. So yeah, it can't be denied that it's already being talked about very widely. There are already robots that are doing the mining completely in China. There's already automated cars, that do automatic driving without drivers. Even Amazon laid off like hundreds or maybe thousands of workers already because it was already the robots that were doing the sorting and then the packaging, etc. So of course, these are all very valid fears. And all of those savings that these companies make, of course, like that all goes to them. But yeah, thinking about like building our own tool or maybe taxing these tools that are operating in ASEAN so that the money from there could go into supporting our own local communities. I mean, that's one idea. And earlier, like I was speaking with a bunch of my co-speakers about like just the idea of having a universal basic income. Like, what if all of this productivity, all of the money that comes from AI, like, what if that is used to make sure that we don't have to worry about where we have to get money for rent, for food, etc. Like, what would you do? So I think that's a question that I can ask you, like, as a takeaway from here, like, if you didn't have to worry so much about having a job, what would you volunteer for? What would you what problem would you like to solve if you didn't have to worry about these things?
Right. Next question, please. Okay, right. Maybe the first. It's okay. Ladies first, or I don't know. Any of you? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You may line up as well. You just ask the question there.
Hello, can I ask? You want to go first? Okay. So, hi, my name is Debbie. I'm
Debbie.
from Multimedia University, Malaysia. I would like to ask, you know how nowadays we use like ChatGPT, AI to create like images and etc. Especially sometimes even like cultural appropriation kind of stuff, right? So like how can we actually ensure these digital solutions to respect local culture, because ASEAN consists of many different beautiful cultures, while actually scalable across ASEAN? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Would like to answer? Says? Okay.
All right. I think it's up to, because right now, kind of the accountability really sits with the ones who provide the service, right? Like, for example, Google, OpenAI, etc. So we have to put pressure on them, governments, individuals, to respect cultures. And for them, that comes in the form of hiring diverse teams, like making sure you have all sorts of people building AI. And I think that's already an effort that's being done, for example, by Google, because I've seen like a number of the interviews they've been doing where actually like they have like really people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities and also persons with disability building AI. But also for us, like, yeah, like putting these things out there that they can use to train their model properly, but also having a dialogue with these groups. Like, okay, you don't get this for free. I mean, we have to have an agreement of like how, you're profiting off of the stuff that the world creates, like all of humanity has created. So like, yeah, having that dialogue of how does this then come back to the community that you are making money out of because of the service that you provide.
Right. Which one first? Okay. Please do so.
Okay, times are getting modern and fast-paced. So with technology, AI being more widespread, with pros, there's also cons like misuse, increase of e-waste, new problems like identity theft. And the last panel mentioned that AI uses so much water.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about digital innovation for sustainable development, AI is kind of against some SDGs, as mentioned like before the last panels, and it can be harmful to the environment. So how does that,
Yeah. You can answer that?
I'm so sorry. Okay. You're right. Like, there's really no denying that at the moment, when you build data centers, there's already like some documentaries of data centers being built, and then when residents there turn the water on their taps, the water is brown because there's barely any water, because AI demands so much cooling, it demands so much electricity. And I think that's always been the case whenever there's like a world-changing technology that's introduced. There's always like a certain level of panic, there's always that period of adjustment. And of course, these are very valid. Like, what I think is required isn't just like particularly on AI, because we can see that it has a lot of possible potential like positive applications. Like, for example, in Timor-Leste, they've integrated AI into their aquatic like research in order to save like whale sharks and pygmy seahorses, something like that. Or Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, like we're using AI to be better able to predict where natural disasters will hit the hardest. And so it's really not a matter of, oh, do we not use AI or do we use AI? Because all of the rich kids and the rich folk, they're using AI and benefiting off it like so much. What needs to happen is for governments to come together and really make sure that we develop it in the right direction. So for example, if your concern is cooling, then you need people to innovate to be able to find like ways to cool and make your conductors and your servers and all of the technology involved in processing the prompts, etc. Make it like more efficient, make it less energy intensive. And I think that's also where the rest of the jobs will be coming from, research and then energy production. So it kind of needs like a whole of society approach. Like there's a lot of benefits that can come from it, but there's costs as well. So we need to account for those costs, but not kind of get like shackled into not using this tool just because you're afraid that you're contributing. Of course, don't use it for like things like useless stuff, like making a cute image of yourself in Ghibli style, like 100 times, because there's other ethical considerations for that. I mean, that's cute, that's fun, and we should enjoy our technologies, but understand what are appropriate use cases and understand what the impact of the tool is that you're using. I think that goes with anything for the rest of history. Yeah.
Right, we have the next question, please.
Sure.
We have 5 to go. Is that okay?
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Muhammad Zulfikar from Angkatan Belia Malaysia Future Leaders School. So my question is, what digital trends should communities prepare for to stay resilient and self-reliant in the next 5 to 10 years? It is because our current technology has not fully developed to its full limit. I'm sure that the usage of technology could be more unimaginably unpredictable in the future.
Doctor can take it, or yeah.
I think it's also like what Cecilia mentioned. I think this is a continuous things that happens, and now I think people get scammed and everything, the technologies, and even now if I scroll my social media, then I know that the video is been created by AI, but it's very using the voice of the people, the face of the people, and it's getting real. So I think as the developments are rapidly happening right now, I think there's also the interventions that had going to be also done. So I think it's concurrent work. So I think if you think that this going to be harm to you, then definitely there's also people that thinking right now on how they're going to solve these problems. And at the end of the day, yeah, if you ask me personally, we cannot predict because this is a very new trend. But even it started just now, the impact is also in the good side. It's very good, but and on the bad side, I think it's a coin toss that where you flip, you have the benefit, and even though you have the bad thing. So I think, for me personally, I think that the interventions definitely currently being researched and doing a lot of things to do the interventions to ensure that the things can be controlled. But just safeguard yourself. That is the only thing that I can say. I think that challenge is this is very, very uncertain thing for me. I'm not the expert like Cecilia here, but for me personally, we cannot predict the future, but we just can prepare ourselves for the future. Yeah.
Right. Next one.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to moderator and the panels. So my name is Yasmin from IPG campus Temenggong Ibrahim Johor. So my question is, how digital platforms can be optimized nowadays to encourage more youth participation in community based on volunteer projects to ensure that young volunteers apply digital platform not only for awareness but also for creating meaningful, measurable impact through volunteerism. Thank you.
Maybe Doctor as well.
Okay, so thank you for asking. I think it's a great question. I'm being honest with you. I have a dream. I have a dream that before this, I always share to my friends. I said that in future, I really hope that we can have Grab like apps like Grab for goods. So when you open the apps this morning, you are free for 2 hours. You didn't know what to do. You can open your apps without using the geofencing, detecting your locations, and you can have the opportunity to go and do the volunteers activities closer to you. So I think this is the things that I'm always willing, and I always want to explore more on doing this. By having this, I think we can have the database to record every single thing. So I think the challenge that we face now in ASEAN especially, and also in Malaysia personally, I think that we didn't have, we have a lot of people that are eager to do a lot of things, but they don't have specific things that we record and measure. So the impact is there, but it's not, the record is not there. So that is the challenge that we face. And if you think, if we compare to overseas like UK, US, and everything, every year they have a report that they're going to produce saying that this year we had completed, like in US, like this year we have 2 million hours, 2 billion hours for volunteering, equivalent to the economic size of because 1 hour is equivalent to 35 ringgit, blah, blah, blah. So they have the measurements and impact. So that is how it's also to convince a lot of people that a lot of things that you do actually are solving the economical problem by the government, because it's more cheaper when the volunteers do things without the bureaucracy and without doing things. Like examples that our experience doing a pavement in the schools is just take us 7,000 ringgit, but we've been told that if the government doing that by tender is going to be like 50,000 ringgit. It's like 6 times higher than is the value. And I think for me personally, I think the question that been asked by you, if I think that if any one of you here are interested to develop the apps, please, we can discuss further on UX, UI, and everything. I think I have the dream. I think that is also very good and the future things that we're going to talk. And I think when I see my brother here, Ash, doing a lot of things regarding this conference, taking care of the digital things and everything, I already think in mind that I have someone that I can discuss further.
Yeah,
and now I know Cecilia, I think. Yeah, Cecilia also very passionate about this. It is something that we can explore. You know that sometimes you travel, for example, like you are here in Malaysia, you just can open the apps, placing the location that you can go and serve the community or to do something for 2 hours that you have a free time. Then, like example, that I went to Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. This morning, I have a free schedule. I opened the app, say, oh, I can go here and I can support the activities there. This is something that we need to do. And I think if we were talking about the future, this is the things that we need to do. But like you mentioned earlier, it's very costly.
Thank you, Doctor. We can only accept last question. I'm so sorry. Any of you, right.
Good evening, moderator and speakers. In your talks, you mentioned about the accessibility of technology in this modern day of ASEAN. and it is diverse in countries all around the world, whether it's about boosting the economy by AI, or saving lives, or even maintaining our environment. My question is, despite everyone having technology on their side, how do you deal with people who refuse to use technology based on protecting agriculture, cultural, traditional views, even if it's beneficial for our society?
You can answer it, yeah. Elsa?
Yeah, and I think I have actually met like a lot of people, well, mainly like some teachers in my school or like my grandparents who aren't like really used to like, you know, new technology, especially like AI. And so like some teachers I know that like they're very against AI. They think like AI is gonna take over the world, gonna like take all of our jobs. And so I think there are definitely people like that. And I think, well, of course, like everyone have free will. We can't like force everyone to like use technology, use AI. But I think what we can do is like promote the good side, but also like, of course, raise awareness of the negative sides so people like are well informed about it.
Right, thank you, Elsa. For the rest of you, if you need to ask questions, please, you can come personally to our panels after this. Yeah, thank you so much to our amazing speakers. Please give a round of applause. Well, technology is not magic. What's magic is you, all of us, all of you. How you use it, how you build for it, like what you build with it, and who you build it for. So that's all from us. Thank you, amazing speakers, and thank you, all of you. Enjoy the rest of the stay in Malaysia.
Thank you so much to our moderator and speakers for the inspiring session on how technology can be powerful tool for community change. And today's discussion shows us that digital tools are not just gadgets, they are bridges that connect us, empower us, and help us solve challenges together. We now like to invite Mr. Shamsul Tahrin to the stage to present token of appreciation to all our amazing speakers and moderators. Please welcome. Please welcome from session 4, the moderator, Ms. Tengku Ain from Malaysia. Up next, Ms. Cecily Mary Wilena from Philippines. Mr. Wan Hasman Wan Daud from Malaysia. And Miss Queen An Elsa La from Vietnam. We would also like to invite all our guests together with the moderator and panelists for a quick commemorative photo session. Thank you so much. Just an update. Okay, this QR code. Okay, can the technical team? Yeah. Okay. So this QR code check-in is only for those who have registered online earlier. If you haven't registered before, you won't have a reference number to check in with. As for the e-certificates, they will be issued after you complete the feedback form, which will be sent by email to all who have checked in physically and virtually today. And to Kahoot game winners, please make your way to Secretariat booth to collect your prizes. Ladies